beginning prepper, congratulations for beginning to prepare. Because ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you what, being prepared is your responsibility. It is my responsibility, and I take that responsibility because I love my family and I want them to have the things that they need when they need them. Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Sunny day today. So if you see me squint a little bit, it's because the sun is beaming right down on me. However, if I do this undercover, I think it'd be too dark for you guys to see when I show you examples of what we're going to talk about today. Now, today is the second episode of the 5 B's of Prepping series. The first episode, I covered why it is important to be prepared. And I'm going to go ahead and leave a card for that, either in one of these corners to that episode in case you haven't seen that. Because ladies and gentlemen, if you've been following me for a while, you know that it's time to get prepared. It's been time to be prepared. A lot of people think that the time to be prepared is over because we are on the downhill side of this crisis we've been going through. However, I think the opposite. I think that we need to be prepared and stay prepared forever, ladies and gentlemen. It should be a lifestyle. That way you never have to go without, especially your family and your children never have to go without during times of crises. Now, today's episode is going to be covering the first B of prepping. And the first B of prepping is supposed to mean beans, right? The 5 B's of prepping, as I call them, are beans, band-aids, bullets, barter, and bouillon. All right, and we're going to go through all of those other 4 B's of prepping on our next videos, but today we're going to cover beans. And what does beans mean? Beans is pretty much standing for food stuff and biological needs that you need in order to survive, to live. So it's not only food. What do you need to survive and to live at the bare minimum? You need water, you need food, you need shelter, you need warmth, right? You need all of those things in order to be able to survive at a very minimalistic way, all right? So that's what we're going to be covering today. And I'm just going to give you an idea of how I prepare. And then from my ideas, you can come up with your own. Leave them in the comments, please, if you do have any ideas that are different from the way that I do it. That way our community can benefit from it as a whole. But what I'm going to tell you now is the way I prepare, because everyone's different, ladies and gentlemen. So remember that when I show you a can of this or a package of this, remember that that's the way I prepare. You have to keep an open mind and remember that we're all different and that the things that you may get would be different than the things that I may get. So let's get started. So the first B of prepping, beans, means I like really to call it biologicals, all right? Because your body's biology needs things in order to survive. Obviously you need air, but there's air all around us and that's pretty much free for now. All right, the first thing that I like to start off with is food, because it is a common denominator amongst all human beings. We all need food to eat, right? Of course, we need water also, but that is also included in the first B of prepping, right? So I'll be going over that as well. So a lot of people ask me, how do I start prepping? It's very simple, ladies and gentlemen. You do the exact same thing that you do now, except you add one extra step to that. All right. First of all, let me go ahead and say something really quick for those of you that maybe new to this channel and maybe we're expecting a visual of starving kids and things like that. I try to stay away from that. You know, sometimes I've used that in some of my videos to try to push through a point, but this is going to be what you see today. This ugly mug right here, all right? So if you wanted a visually stimulating video, ladies and gentlemen, this is not it. But what I do think is that I'm going to give you some information that if you're not doing this now, may be invaluable for you in the future. So like I was saying, how do you start prepping? And when I talk about food, I really mean everything, not just a can of beans, you know, not just a can of corn, but everything that you use in your life on a regular day that allows you to maintain that standard of living that you are used to. These are the things that you want to prepare with for the long term. So I'm going to use an example of this can of soup right here, okay? So in my family, we probably go through a can of soup maybe once a week, right? So we probably average one soup meal a month. There's 4 people in my family. So if we average about one soup meal a month, it means that I have 4 cans of soup that I go through every month, or that my family goes through every month. So how do I extend my pantry when it comes to that? If you want to extend your pantry for a month, then make sure that you have enough cans of soup in your pantry at all times to allow you to go to 1 month. And when I use soup, it's just an example. It could be rice, it could be beans, it could be corn. I don't like to tell people how long they should be prepared for, because everyone is different, and that is up to you to decide how long you need to be prepared for. But for example, if I know that I go through 4 cans of soup a month, and I want to be prepared for a year, then just do the math. 4 times 12 is 48. So I know that if I want to have 1 year supply of whatever my favorite soup is, or my family's favorite soup, I'm going to have 48 cans of soup to get me through the year. Now you can use that logic, ladies and gentlemen, with everything that you consume in your household. From soup to rice to beans to water. Okay, some people have water systems that have thousands of gallons in them. Some people are lucky enough to have a well. However, if you are attached to a city utility, you have to prepare for an instance where maybe your water availability goes away because maybe the city pumps stop running for whatever reason. I really don't like to encourage people to prepare for just one single reason, because with the 3 B's of prepping, the first 3 B's of prepping covers everything that you need to be self-sustainable for the amount of time that you feel comfortable sustaining yourself. So let's say that you've gone through your pantry, your working pantry, and that you have amassed a 1 year supply of food in there. So everything that you eat on a normal basis, you have amassed enough to feed your family for a year. What else do you want to stock up on? Well, you want to stock up on, like I said, all of those things that you require to live. So if you are able to stock up a good amount of water, that is a great thing. Stock up a good amount of water. If you need to stock up on some hygiene items, by all means, stock up on hygiene items. However, I will be talking about hygiene items mostly on the second B of prepping, right? Because I believe that hygiene has to do with health, right? And that's covered in the second B of prepping. So what kinds of foods do you put away past that 1 year supply in your working pantry? And ladies and gentlemen, when I say 1 year supply, I'm just saying that to pick a number. It could be a 6-month supply or a 3-month supply. It has to be something that you're comfortable with and something that you are able to do. Some people think that being prepared is a one-time thing where they go out and spend a couple $1,000s, bam, they're prepared. But no, there's a lot to go with it. This can of soup right here, I rotate. So when I go out and replenish my 1 year supply of soup, I go ahead and make sure that I put the newest dates on the back and take the oldest dates and use them up first. That way there's always a fresh can of soup waiting for the next time that we use it. And that's the mindset that you have to take with all of your food preps, with the exception of long-term food preps. You see, with preparing food, you're going to have a short-term food pantry, which is your working pantry. And like I said, you can extend that working pantry to 3 months, 6 months, a year, however long you want to, and however much room you have in that working pantry. Some people don't have that much room. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to go ahead and extend that pantry as long as you can with the regular things that you eat anyways. Most things that we buy that are packaged have a pretty good expiration date or best buy date, all right? And even after that best buy date, most things are still good to eat. All right, the USDA says that a can of soup like this will last indefinitely as long as the can is not damaged or rusted or has lost its seal. Right? So you can keep your cans of food for a long time, but it is always best that you rotate them, because the older they get, the more that the nutritional value in them, like minerals, vitamins, even the taste, is degraded by just a little bit. However, it still maintains the calories from its carbohydrates, from its fats, and from its proteins. It still maintains those calories. So as long as the packaging is still good, you should be good to eat it. But do your own research on that and make sure that you're not eating something that's bad. I read on a comment before that botulism is killed if you cook your food for 5 minutes at 185 degrees. I don't know if that's true or not, ladies and gentlemen, but a good way to mitigate that is just by rotating your food. Rotate the foods that you eat on an everyday basis, and you should have no problem with your canned goods and packaged goods lasting well beyond their best by date. In addition to that, make sure that wherever you store your foods, that it's a cool, dry place, and preferably that it's rodent-free. Those things really help, and they also mitigate in your food going bad or going to waste. Okay, so canned foods in your primary working food pantry, that's how you stock up. Just make a list of the things that you use on an everyday basis, and then go ahead and add to that list according to the amount of food stuff that you eat and at whatever frequency you eat it. All right, so that's the easiest way to start prepping, is to start expanding your working pantry. Now, what other types of foods are there that are popular for long-term storage? Well, we have foods like freeze-dried meats. We have foods like freeze-dried entrees that are made from several different companies. Now, I can attest to both of these companies as far as them being pretty good companies, as far as buying, your freeze-dried foods. However, ladies and gentlemen, they can be pretty pricey. So what would I recommend for the starting prepper to do prior to going out there and getting all of these freeze-dried meats and freeze-dried entrees that are usually storable for 25 years or more? What I recommend is that you learn how to can, is that you learn how to pressure can, that you learn how to dry meats, like make jerky out of them, that you learn how to grow a garden so that you can can your own foods and put them away. And if done properly, pressure canning is a great tool to use to put food away for the long term. And what I mean by long term is to put them away for like 2 or 3 years or more. And then know that once you open those cans or those jars, that the food in there is going to be good for you and your family to consume. Now, learning how to can, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of people are afraid of doing that. However, it is not a hard thing to master. I've been canning for a long time, but I'm still canning the same way today that I did 7, 8, 9 years ago when I started. All right, so make sure that if you're interested in preserving meats and even meals, like you can make roast, you can pressure can roast, you can pressure can beef stew, you can pressure can stews, etc. Your imagination really is what matters as far as what you want to pressure can and put away for long-term storage. But the key again to that is, ladies and gentlemen, is being able to do it the right way. I recommend that you guys go and take a look at the Ball Book of Canning. By the way, that is listed on my Amazon storefront. You can look for it, and it's there. You can click on it and take a look at it. They even let you preview it before you buy it. All right. I also have pressure canners, which are pretty limited right now on my Amazon storefront. I believe that the only one that's being sold right now is the All-American pressure canner, which is, in my opinion, the best pressure canner there is, even though I really like the T-Fall pressure canner. But the All-American, although a little bit pricey, will last you the rest of your life if you use it correctly, right? And don't damage it by letting it dry out during a canning session, for example. Learn how to can, right? That is something that our forefathers did just to survive the winter, because they knew that they needed food during the winter when it wasn't as available as it was during the non-winter months. That's another way to really extend your long-term food storage and not having to go into the expense of purchasing things like this that are a lot more expensive. Now, is there anything wrong with stocking up on freeze-dried meals that are packaged for long-term? Absolutely not. Like I said, it's a little more expensive. However, if you have the funds to purchase those items, then by all means, purchase them and try them and see if you like them. And if you do like them, then add those to your long-term food storage. Now, another way to add to your long-term food storage is this. is to go ahead and package your own dry grains or your own beans, your own rice, your own sugar. Look at this. This didn't cost me but about 13 cents to package this. And the reason is because I put two 50cc oxygen absorbers in this package before I put the lid on. All right. And this is a free jug that I got from a gallon of apple juice that I purchased. I just made sure that I cleaned it out really well and that I let the inside dry out really well before I put the beans in there and put the oxygen absorbers in there and then sealed it with the cap. These I have found do a very good job at preserving your dried goods like rice, all right, like sugar, like salt. If you put sugar or salt in here, make sure you don't use an oxygen absorber. But this is another great way that is inexpensive and that works, ladies and gentlemen. Now, my favorite way to package long-term food stuff that are dry is using Mylar, all right, a 5-gallon Mylar bag with a bucket, because I like to package in bulk, all right, because once you open that 5-gallon bucket, a lot of people think, well, that's way too much for me to open, but they don't understand that if they're opening it, it's because there's some kind of crisis, and a 5-gallon bucket of rice, really, in my family, would probably last about a month if we were in crisis mode, because rice is a great grain to use in order to use as a filler that will fill you up, give you a lot of carbs, and then you can put something else with it. But the rice will be more like the maintenance food. You can call it like a maintenance food. It's there to fill you up, to give you the energy that you need to work, and then you don't have to add as much proteins and sides to it because you're going to be full. So it's one of my favorite ways to package rice is using a Mylar bag. If you guys want to know what kind of Mylar bags I use, again, go to my Amazon storefront. I'm not going to keep repeating it because I don't want it to seem like I'm trying to sell you something. But a lot of people ask me, what kind of Mylar bags do you use? The Mylar bags and the oxygen absorbers that I use are in my Amazon storefront, and all of the other things that I use and or recommend are there as well. So if you guys want to take a look at it, click on the link below. That's where you're going to find it. All right, it's easy to find instead of you trying to find the exact same one by searching for it. So that's what you want to do to package things for long term. What are your long term items? Well, you can package your meats for long term by pressure canning them, or you can buy them, okay? Or you can buy them. Preferably, I like pressure canned meats more than freeze dried meats. I think they taste better and they're already nice and moist. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Something fell over. And they're already nice and moist. I just like the product overall when it's pressure canned instead of freeze dried. Not saying that there's anything wrong with freeze dried. You know, freeze dried has its advantages. It takes up less room. It weighs a lot less. All right. And it's already pre-packaged for you. I just prefer pressure canning over freeze dried or dehydrated. All right. Other things you can get for long term. You can get things like dehydrated or freeze-dried vegetables. Right? If those are things that you cannot do for yourself, then you have an avenue by which you can prepare for long term. Now, some other things that you may want to think about prepping as far as food goes for long term would be your comfort foods. Like, for example, look at this. This is some, it's called Spiffy Whip. It's supposed to be a powdered whipped cream that you can make with really cold water. All right? And why do I say that? Because that doesn't have too much nutritional value, right? However, you want to store some things that don't have a lot of nutritional value that are just junk food. You're going to need comfort foods. When you think about it, if you're getting into your long-term pantry because there's some kind of a crisis that has evolved that keeps you from getting those things that you regularly use on an everyday basis, you're going to want to have some comfort foods. You're going to want to have some things that bring a smile to your face, and more importantly, your kids' faces, because you're already stressed out during a crisis. So why be even more stressed out by having to eat the same old bland foods that you're eating on an everyday basis anyways? And what I mean by bland foods is that once you eat something time and time again, the same thing time and time again, it's going to become bland no matter how many spices you put in it. You just get food fatigue. You get tired of eating the same thing. So you want to have some comfort foods. Put away some chocolates. Put away some candies. Put away some cake mixes. I like to put away my chocolates and candies and cake mixes and things like that for long term. I like to use a jar and use the dry canning method to put those things away. And again, I'll go ahead and leave a card for you guys so that you can see how I dry can. Most of the things I'm talking about here, ladies and gentlemen, I'll leave a card on the corner of this video so you can click on that video and go and see how to do it. All right, I have a video out that shows you what my pantry looks like. I have a video out that shows you how I put away dry foods. I have a video out that shows you how to dry can, all of those things. So if you're looking for all of those things, I'm going to make sure that I leave them posted on a card on this video so that it'll be easy for you guys to look for them. All right, so let's talk about water. I think that's everything that we can talk about food. All right, so first thing you do is you want to extend your working pantry. Once you've extended your working pantry to the number of months and or years that you want to have that working pantry extended to in order to serve you in case there's a crisis that lasts, a certain amount of time, you go to your long-term pantry. Your long-term pantry, you're going to have things like your freeze-dried meals. You're going to have things like your pressure-canned meats, your pressure-canned vegetables. You're going to have canned items that you just wanted to stock up on because maybe you found a sale. All right, you're going to have your dried goods like your rice, your beans. All right, once you get that long-term pantry set up, then there is a third option for you. You can have a different part of your house that is used for nothing but bulk foods. Like I have a separate part of my house that's always a very cool place and a place where I can keep all of my bulk items in 5-gallon buckets and the buckets that I get whenever I order something that's on sale. For example, the white wheat berries that I ordered from Amazon not too long ago, the Oxen Farms white wheat berries, they were on sale, so I ordered a few. Those go directly to my third location where it's nice and cool and I can leave them there for 20 years if I have to, and I don't have to worry about it. All right, so those are the things you want to do in order to be able to handle your food storage. And I wish I could be more precise with you as to what to get and how much of it to get. But like I said, there's no way that I can tell what you need. Only you can tell what you and your family need. But those are the basic steps that you want to take in order to be prepared for the short term, the long term, and the really long term storage as far as bulk foods go. Let's talk about water. A lot of people say you have to have so much water a day in order to be able to survive. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you have to decide for yourself how much water you need and how much water you can store. If in your family you guys need 3 gallons a day per person for whatever reason, then you need to store 3 gallons a day per person. What I recommend most highly is that in addition to having let's say a month's supply of water for your family, is that you have a good water filter. I have 2 videos on water filters. I have one where I show you how to make your own Berkey water system, your own Berkey water filtration system, for about 1/3 of the price that you would pay if you bought a Berkey water filtration system. All it is taking the guts from the Berkey, buying those things separately, and then using food grade buckets in order to build your own system. I have a video that I did. It's a little long. I think it's like 40 minutes or so, but I show you every single step of what you have to do in order to build your own system at about 1/3 of the price. All right, I think that a large Berkey system is about $400 and something, and you can build your own system for about $100 and something. So go take a look at that video and you'll be able to see how you can make your own system. It's extremely simple. You don't have to be a handyman or knowledgeable about building or anything like that to do it. It's extremely simple, and you can do it in as little as 10 or 15 minutes. The reason my video is a little longer is because I try to explain every single step as I go along. That way you can get a good concept and a good idea of how you can do it, and you'll see how easy it is. If you cannot afford a Berkey water system or afford to make your own Berkey water system, what you can do is you can buy one of these. This is my second favorite water filter. It's a mini Sawyer. And this mini Sawyer is probably around 22, 23 bucks maybe, something like that. I'm not sure if they've gone up in price or not lately. I haven't bought one for probably about a year or so. But this little mini Sawyer water filter will do the job as far as filtering your water and making it good for you to consume. All right, and it's only 21, 22 bucks. This water filter is also rated to filter up to 100,000 gallons of water as long as you remember to back flush it and clean it every time you use it. And I have a video on this as well where I show you how to back flush it, where I show you how to use it as a gravity fed filtration system with a 5-gallon bucket that's food grade, and it works great. All right, so there is an option here that you can use. If you cannot afford $100 and something for a Berkey system, This is a filtration system that I would highly recommend. I would almost dare to say that if you had to decide whether to store 100 gallons of water or to get one of these, I would rather get one of these for emergencies. And why is that? Because the water will eventually run out. And if you're left without a way to clean water, if your water has run out, there can be water all around you, ladies and gentlemen, but not a drop to drink. Because how do you know whether that water will get you sick or not? This is a way to know that that water will be good for you to drink, all right, once you need it. And when you think about it, there's water really everywhere. Like right now, me sitting here, I know 2 or 3 places that I can go to right now and get water that's not far from where I live, but that water is a little dirty. Well, taking that water and pre-filtering it through a cloth, and then maybe even boiling that water and letting it cool down, and then putting it through the filter after it's been boiled, and then once it's gone through the filter and you have it in your pot or your jug or your bucket or whatever it is, putting in 8 drops of bleach for every gallon of water that you have, and then letting it sit there for a couple of hours so it can fume off the bleach and you won't have a bleachy taste. That to me would be more important, to be able to clean water than to store water. Now, if you have the option of storing a lot of water, that's great. That's always great because it's going to be able to help you through the initial parts of the crisis, and you won't have to be worrying about water for the first week or 2. So if you can store a week or 2 or even a month of water, that's an even better option than to just have a filter. But a filter, as far as I'm concerned, is extremely important to have. I cannot say enough about having a good filter. And that Sawyer Mini that I just showed you, I think it's a great filter. All right. And again, I have this in my Amazon storefront, ladies and gentlemen. So don't spend a lot of time looking for it. It's right there. And this little thing right here can literally save a life. So I really recommend that you get 1 or 2 of these. I just talked to my brother a couple hours ago, and he doesn't have any of these. And I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I mail him a couple just so that he can have them. Now, what are some other options for water? If you have a gutter system, it's very easy. Go ahead and get a 55-gallon barrel drum that you can allow your gutter to go into and fill up. And then there's a very easy way to allow the excess water to come out of that 55-gallon drum. I'm going to do a video about that because I have one that I want to do it with. In addition to that, you can get bigger tanks. Depending on how much room you have in your yard, on your property, you can get bigger tanks. One of my goals this year is to get a 2,500-gallon tank that I can feed my rainwater into, that I can have there as an emergency backup system for living, right? More than likely, I will be using that system to feed water to my garden and to just do chores around the house. However, it will always be available for me to use in case of an emergency if I can't get water anywhere, right? So if you think about it, if you just take one person and you go by the 1 gallon a day, or let's say 2 gallons a day, right? That's 700 gallons a year, roughly, 730 gallons a year. If you have a 2,500-gallon tank that's full of water and you're really in crisis mode, you have enough water there for the next 2 or 3 years. Okay, not considering whether you use it for your garden and stuff like that, but I would assume that if you are in crisis mode, that you would be using that water to live. So that's another option. But then again, it depends where you live. Can you have that? Do you have the property? Do you have the money to get a 2,500-gallon tank? Some people may not. So if you don't, what's the best option for you to use to store water in your apartment? Go ahead and get yourself some 2-liter bottles of soda. And some people say, well, that's not good because the plastic gases off and things like that. I've stored a lot of things in 2-liter bottles and I've never had a problem. From what I understand, ladies and gentlemen, and do your own research, as long as you keep those bottles away from sun and high heat, the contents inside should be good. You'll notice that when I talk about food storage and storing water and things like that, that a lot of times I keep going back to make sure that you store it in a proper manner, meaning in a dry, cool place that's out of sunlight. And those bottles should last you a long time. All right, now what if you don't drink soda? Do you drink juice, just like the juice bottle that I showed you that I have? If you don't drink any of that stuff, I'm sure you have friends that drink soda or juice and things like that, and they'll be more than happy to save those containers for you so that you can use. All right, so there's plenty of options for everyone's specific situation. Whether you have money, whether you don't have money, there are options, ladies and gentlemen. You just have to go ahead and take advantage of those options, so that it can help you out. Don't look for excuses as to why you cannot do something, but look for ways that will allow you to do those things that you want to do. Uh-oh. Look at this. Look at who's visiting. Look at who's visiting. Huh? She just had to come up here and say hello. Say hi. Well, you bugged me. Say hello now. Say hello. You were the one bugging me. Say hello. No? You don't want to say hi now. Okay. There you go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so that's pretty much what I have to cover on the first B of prepping. Now, if you have anything that you want to add to the conversation that we just had, please leave it in the comments. I could make this video really long, and I could take hours and hours to edit it and stuff like that, to show you visuals of pantries and things like that. And I was thinking about that. But you know what? It's a simple thing to do. I don't want to overcomplicate it for you. And I don't want to discourage someone that sees a pantry that I've been working on for almost a decade and say, I can't do that. Yes, you can, ladies and gentlemen. You can do it. You can get prepared for what's coming, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm not going to get into, oh, this is what's coming. But I believe that you are going to need to have a store of food. I believe you're going to have a deep larder, as it used to be called. Right? Having a deep larder means having a pantry that is deep with the things that you need in order to be able to eat and survive for an extended period of time. And those examples that I just showed you, freeze-dried foods, prepackaged freeze-dried foods that you buy from a manufacturer or a company, right? Doing your own pressure canning, those are just examples. There are probably many other ways of being able to preserve food. It's just that I don't use those ways, and I want to show you the things that I do in order to build my preps. And then you can take all of the ideas that I may have given you today and use those ideas to develop your own preparedness plan when it comes to food and sustenance. All right? So ladies and gentlemen, I hope you got something out of this. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I am going to try to do a follow-up video on questions that people may have in the comments for these 5 B's of prepping videos. That way I can address your questions directly, all right, and not let those questions get lost in the sauce, as they say in the military. All right, so if you have questions, if you're a beginning prepper, congratulations for beginning to prepare. Because ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you what, being prepared is your responsibility. It is my responsibility, and I take that responsibility because I love my family and I want them to have the things that they need when they need them. And if for some reason the supply chain goes down or something happens where we cannot get those things that we regularly use on a daily basis, I want to make sure that my family has those things. That way they don't have to suffer along with those people that decided not to prepare. So congratulations to you for even being on this video, clicking on it, and deciding that it's time for you to become prepared. No one is going to be taking care of you if there is a systemic crisis. Now, we have crises that are local crises, regional crises, systemic crises, and worldwide crises. Let me explain to you real quick what those mean. A local crisis is something that maybe happens within your community, right? Those crises are easy to take care of, right? A regional crisis may be a crisis that maybe happens on the East Coast or the West Coast or something like that, but it takes up a whole region of the country. For example, let's take a look at one of the hurricanes in the East Coast, Katrina, Sandy. Those crises were regional because they enveloped many states, not just one state, but it hit many states, right? And then a systemic crisis would be a crisis that occurs that affects the entire country as a whole, right? Let's take, for example, let's say if that dam in California, and I forgot the name of the dam in California, let's say that dam busts and it just floods, the basin of California. The entire country will feel that crisis. The entire country will. So it will be a countrywide or nationwide crisis, right? Now, let's say a world crisis. Let's say that the economy collapses, and if the U.S. economy collapses, the entire world economy collapses because all of the world's monetary systems are based off of the U.S. Federal Reserve note. All right, that would be a world crisis. All right, so make sure that you're prepared for all of those. That way, if you're not able to go to the supermarket, that you know that your family won't go without. I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that for now, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you very much for joining me today. And for those of you that have made up their minds to start prepping, congratulations to you. You are doing the right thing. Having said that, I hope you guys have a great 4th of July tomorrow. All right, be safe out there. Celebrate our independence. And please don't drink and drive, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure that wherever you go, that you make it home safe. I'm a very boring person, so I'll be right here at home, probably using that barbecue to cook up some hot dogs. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so thank you very much for joining in again. Remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place, and you know that it will be a better place. Oh, and ladies and gentlemen, check it out. We are over $500 on the food bank donations. We were at $402 or $450 or so yesterday, but we've got a couple of community members that donated over $100 between both of them to the coffee account yesterday, so I'm going to go ahead and include that. So we are over $500, about $550 or so. So thank you very much again to all of you that donated. I truly do appreciate it, and thank you very much to all of you that keep coming back and watching my videos. I truly appreciate that as well. God bless you all. Many blessings to all of you and your families. I'm the Alaska Prepper, and I'm out.